If you do want to speak on an agenda, either on the agenda or open forum, this young lady up front here will be happy to take them. If you have a phone, if you could put it in silent mode, Mark. Trying to warn you, buddy. Okay, with that, we have our pledge. Chris.
I'd be honored. I'm like the
Go, my
designated
buddy.
person. Take your hat off, Commissioner Wolf. Thank you. Everyone face the flag and follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. The refugee do the pledge? I see how it
Yeah.
is.
Huh? Yeah. Okay, with that, we need, what the hell? We got a lot of minutes here. Which one do we need to get approved?
All right, so we do have two sets of minutes, the one from the Plan Commission meeting of March 2nd, and then the minutes from April 6th, 2020. We do have a quorum for both minutes. However, some of the commissioners were not there, so it may be worthwhile to take each individually just to have the correct votes in favor or in response to the minutes. However, I do want to go back quickly so we can do the roll call
Yeah,
and then
we'll
the
go.
public comment as well.
Okay, I was trying to figure out which ones we're gonna do. So let's do the roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Wolf. Commissioner Rettstead.
Present.
Commissioner Hitz. Commissioner Brzee.
Here.
Commissioner Beck.
Here.
Vice Chair Martarian.
Here.
And Chair Augauer.
Here.
And then we have not received any public comment slips for items not on the agenda.
You don't have no comments, good. Now we move into the minutes. So we're gonna approve the March 2nd minutes. Okay, can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 2nd minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I can't vote, so motion carries. So then that moves us to the April 6th minutes.
That is correct.
Okay, on the April 6th minutes, got a motion?
Move to approve.
Got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, now we can get back into, I guess, the first case.
Yep, that'll be item number 3, architectural review, and Maddie will be doing the presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman Algauer. This is item number 3, case number 22-054, an architectural review for a 22-unit detached condominium project associated with TTM 2508, located on a 2.5-acre property at 31711 Avenue E. So case number 21-201 was actually approved at the last Planning Commission meeting on April 6th, and this was to develop the 22-unit detached single-family condominium project. At the meeting, the applicant's representative noted that they were working through final floor plans and elevation styles and would be submitting them shortly. So they did submit the architectural review package to the Planning Department for review on April 12th last week, and we've prepared the presentation for you today. So again, the site is located on the east side of 18th Street and Avenue E. To the north is an Edison substation, and then catty corner is again that other development for 19 units, case number 20-059 that we spoke about a few weeks back. To the east and west are single-family residences as well as multifamily development, and to the south are mostly legal non-conforming residents located within the industrial commercial zone. Here's the site layout before you on the screen, which shows the mix of floor plans and different elevation styles that will be utilized. Again, these are detached 2-story single-family condominiums that are similar in nature to standard single-family residential development. There will be 2 different floor plans with 2 different elevation types and styles used throughout the development. They'll also provide reverse footprints for additional architectural differentiation between the units. Landscaping is also provided as a part of this review, but will ultimately be reviewed by the city's contract landscape architect through the building and safety submittal process. Plan 3 is before you on the screen right now. It's the little bit smaller of the two floor plans and provides 2,116 square feet of living space with a 415 square foot attached garage. Additionally, there's a courtyard area that leads to a 34 square foot covered porch area, which provides some added depth and dimension on the front elevation. These are the different elevation styles: option A, Spanish, and option B, French for this floor plan. Option A is inspired, again, by Spanish architectural features and includes tile roofing, stucco, decorative corbels, and clay pipe vents. And then option B has a French influence with the use of concrete flat tile roofing, horizontal siding accents across the front elevation, and then gable elements and wood knee braces. Plan 4 is the larger floor plan and provides 2,526 square feet of living space with a 420 square foot garage. And there's a more prominent 54 square foot covered porch on the front facade to create additional building detailing. The same elevation style as the Spanish and the French will also be used on this elevation there before you on the screen right now. As a part of the architectural review package, a monument sign was also proposed within the development, which will be 48 square feet and 12 foot across by 4 feet tall. And will advertise the name of the development, which is proposed as the College Collection. The sign will primarily consist of a stucco base and then have a concrete cap with cobblestone veneer posts. Conceptual landscaping is before you on the screen and will again ultimately be reviewed through the building plan check process, but I do want to point out that an additional supplement was provided showing a block wall detail along the portion of Avenue E, which is visible from the public right-of-way. And as we went over at the last meeting, because of the site design and layout of the units numbered 1 through 7 along 18th Street, there will not be a block wall provided here, as those units will have access and drive approaches up to their garage areas from 18th Street. So this project is now in compliance with the conditions of approval. All units will provide the required unit amenities, and staff recommends approval. If you have any questions, the applicant is here.
Thank you, Evan. Anyone have any questions for staff at this time? Okay.
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. On the block walls, where are the block walls? I couldn't follow.
On the screen right now, the exhibit to the left shows a red line that is where the block wall will be provided along Avenue E.
Uh-huh.
So I think Ben's pointing the laser at it right now.
And
So in the
then-
frontage of the property that abuts Avenue E, there will be a block wall kind of delineating and separating that development.
So it'll be the side yard area of those, or rear yard area of those residences that fronts directly along Avenue E. So if you're driving along Avenue E, where you're seeing just the blank exposed wall,
Right.
it will be a block wall in lieu of vinyl fencing, which is within the interior. of
On the
project.
property line that's at the top of this, there's an existing block wall, correct?
Yes, so those block walls are not
Right,
affiliated with this compliance with the conditions of
right,
approval.
but it's
right
an
now.
existing, so
They're
then,
existing.
then on what would be the south side of the project, down that
On
property
18th
line?
Street, yeah, so you can see that there are driveways that lead into each of those
No,
units.
that's the west side, but the south side, if I'm correct, isn't that Avenue E runs east-west, or?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So that.
yeah,
will-
that side
Yes.
and continuing on up, are those,
I believe that was,
I believe that's vinyl fencing along that corner. Oh, no, it calls out block wall.
yeah. So that's where the existing block wall is actually, and it looks like it's proposed to be expanded up to the adjacent multifamily development in the east.
So a block wall will be added along this side. It shows that there's one already here. than along here.
Okay. With that, would applicant like to make a, come on. And don't bring Mark with you.
Hi, Jeff Crydell. I live at 12357 Ross Place, Apartment B, here in Yucaipa. This is a great project, especially for that area. And if you've seen the apartments to the east, you'll know that the color scheme and palette of these condos is gonna be great. Put it that way, it's a fantastic project. Like they said, there is existing block walls on the south and the east, and then we'll block wall on the front. And of course, the driveways on 18th Street are on 18th Street. Yeah, do you have any questions? They've done a great job explaining this project. And anybody?
Any questions for the applicant?
The only question I'm thinking about is, for the other 15 homes, is gonna be only one entry and exit for this 15 homes?
Correct. That's correct.
All right, what's on the back side of this property?
There's an existing block wall that follow on the south end. There's an existing block wall that follows that line, the property line. And then like on the very end, it tapers down to 18th Street or close to 18th Street.
So between this project and Dunlop, there's another property?
Oh, yes. The power plant is like right there.
I see.
Power plant's across the street.
Well, it's across the street. There is a house right there where the block wall is. On that south end.
Dunlop,
Craig went to Hawaii and he didn't let me use his pointer, his laser pointer.
yeah, Dunlop is further south of the property. There's a number of residences between this particular project site and Dunlop Boulevard from 18th Street.
There you go. That's a good aerial.
Then other than the block walls, are we using vinyl?
On the interior fences, correct, for the yards.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. Do we have any comments, Ben?
No public comments, but as an architectural review, it is not a public hearing item.
Okay. With that, we'll close the public hearing and move to the commissioners.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve case number 22-054, architectural review for 22-unit detached condominium project located at 31711 Avenue E.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have any other discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At 7-0. Motion passes. You're good to go. Okay, the next item on the is a conditional use permit and architectural review for development of 17-unit apartment housing complex.
And that'll be Christian providing the presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Algar. Today, the applicant, Mark Bowie, brings before you item number 4, a conditional use permit and architectural review for the development of a 17-unit apartment complex at a multifamily residential property located at 13561 5th Street. The site is located on a 2.61 acre parcel located at 13561 5th Street, proposed to be 2.31 acres after subdivision will take place. The current site features a single-family residence that will be subdivided into a not a part parcel. This is located within our RM10M district with single-family residences surrounding to the north, east, and west, and a mobile home park to the south. The site features housing density of 7.31 dwelling units per acre with 17 total units proposed. 4 single-story duplexes and 3 two-story triplexes will be included in this with 82 parking spaces. Access to the site is provided off of a 24-foot drive aisle from Fifth Street, with 40% of the site proposed to be landscaped, and private amenities including a shade canopy and barbecue area. The floor plan for the single-story unit features a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit that is used as a duplex with approximately 1,055 feet of habitable living space and an attached 20 by 20 garage. Decorative doors, refrigerator, washer and dryer, oversized closets, and a deadbolt with peephole are included on each unit as a part of our multiple residential standards. The architectural for each of the units, the single-story units, can be seen here. It's a pretty classic duplex. The floor plan for the 2-story is a 3-bedroom and 2.5 bath unit with approximately 1,264 square feet, similarly with an attached garage and the previously described amenities, with a floor plan that looks a little bit more like this, with outdoor patios, and all of these units will have their own private outdoor space with vinyl fencing. The colors and materials can be seen here. They're using natural kind of earth tones for this development. The conceptual landscaping plan can be seen here with the outdoor amenities shown as well, and the landscaping basin shown at the entrance of the site. This is similar to most of our conceptual landscaping plans. It needs to go to Building and Safety and to our landscaping architect, Steve Franken, before final approval. This is the existing site, and this is the existing residence. Notices were sent to all properties within 300 feet, and 3 responses were received. All 3 commenters had concerns about the traffic that would be generated by this, commenting that the existing speeds of people going down 5th Street were too fast. All of these commenters were directed to our traffic calming log, but because this is in a main road, an arterial road, there are no traffic calming measures that can be put into place. And it should be noted that this project is in line with the density that is proposed by our general plan and falls in line with that. Further concerns were raised over the loss of open space and views, but the city's general plan does not protect these. Since I did this 2 days ago, we received 2 additional comments. One of them we have given to you right now, who kind of went further into his discussion of his concerns with the proposed project. The second one was just before this meeting, someone came up and just kind of spoke favorably of the project, saying that the elevations were agreeable to him. As a part of the environmental review of this site, it is recommended that you adopt a categorical exemption for infill development. And the fiscal impact of this site is a total of $302,866 based on a total of 17 3-bedroom residential units. So it is staff's recommendation that you approve the conditional use permit and architectural review, adopt the findings of the conditional use permit, adopt the categorical exemption, and direct staff to file a notice of determination. The applicant is here, and both he and I could answer your questions if you have any.
Thank you, Christian. Good job. Anyone have any questions for staff at this time? With that, would applicant like to?
You got me again.
You back?
Yes. Any questions? Again, this is a great project for that area. There's a couple other projects very similar to that. Simmons projects that are very similar. There's been a call for this type of product, the apartments like this. I don't think there'll be any problem keeping these full. There'll probably be a waiting list.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question of the applicant. Have you seen these letters that were submitted?
I did not, actually.
Do you have another copy, Ben?
Yeah.
I think in fairness, it would be important for you to have a chance to look at these and respond to
Sure,
the
if you
issues.
want to give me a second, let me
Sure.
look them over. Oh, that's all right.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, for the staff. This letter that I was reading says that they just got notice of the meeting a week prior to the meeting itself. Is that correct?
Was this meeting, was this deferred because we didn't have a quorum?
No, so the project was noticed at least 10 days prior to the meeting, consistent with the requirements of the Brown Act. And so they did
Because, I
receive the
mean, I
notice.
understand. I sympathize with anybody who gets a notice only 1 week prior when you're busy and working and have family and something of this nature. I think it'd be good if we could give them at least, a couple weeks. And depending on how your schedule works, if you know or can give a warning that it looks like we're gonna be hearing this on such and such a date, send them an email and.
So we do send out an initial notice when we first review the project and deem it complete. We send a second notice 2 weeks before the planning commission date. So this would be the second notice that he received, with the first coming almost 3 months ago now.
And
Did have more than 1 week notice then.
yeah, that is correct. And as part of the public hearing notice, it is required to be 10 days in advance. In order for the city to essentially mail out the notices, we have to make sure that we have all the requirements for submittal for the planning commission meeting. And so, for example, if we extended that deadline further, significantly beyond what the Brown Act requirements are, is essentially those projects would get delayed by additional 2 weeks or more in order to accommodate that additional noticing time. Because we want to make sure that we notice, knowing that the applicant is ready for the public hearing, not before assuming that they will be, and then continuing the item if that isn't the case.
So, along the same line, so just for the record, I want to note, I know this, Christopher Mills is not here today, but the commission has reviewed the letter dated January 21st, 2022, and an email apparently sent yesterday at 6 p.m. on April 19th by Mr. Mills, who lives on Fifth Street and is a concerned resident for some items listed. One of them is the timeliness. So just so we're clear, Ben, I know the code requires a minimum of 10 days prior notice. And I know we've talked about notice, and a couple of residents have brought that up. Is there anything we can do to extend the notice of the hearing? Because Christian, you're talking about they got notice when the application was first filed. That's not notice of tonight's hearing. That's a notice of the project being in the pipeline, correct?
Yeah, that was their first notice. Their second notice was 2 weeks ago, or sent out 2 weeks ago.
But the first notice is not of the hearing date, is it?
No.
Okay, yeah, so they only got this one notice about 2 weeks ago, which they probably got about a week before this. And I just want to address again on the record, I know they're asking for weekend planning commission meetings. I don't know how the planning commission would feel to 7 of us also have jobs and have families, and we do this as a volunteer position to help our community. So I could barely fit this in my schedule. I have to catch a flight to Chicago and LAX right after this meeting as I drop my son off to soccer. So we have lives too. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands we do our best to accommodate everyone. So the Wednesday meetings is something that has been Planning Commission routine in history for a long time in the city, correct?
Yes, and it's established through the council resolution for the planning commission establishes the recurrence of these meeting dates. I do want to note, just in terms of the concern or addressing the element of noticing. So as Christian mentioned, we do a project notice once the project is deemed complete. The intent of that is to solicit opinion early in the process so that the applicant may have time to address those concerns before it goes to hearing. This is a notice that is not required under state law. This is something that the city does that's unusual for other communities as a way to be proactive in soliciting input. The public hearing notice itself, as governed by, the government code, is to let people know, hey, this is the date this is actually going for hearing. And as part of it, as I mentioned earlier, is, we don't want to do too crazy of a advance notice of the hearing date because we have to have a number of things in place. And so by doing so, it inadvertently ends up causing delays to every single applicant who's ready to go as well. They know, hey, 2 weeks before the meeting, I got to be ready to go in order to meet the date. And if we modify that further, then they're going to go, okay, I have to meet the date. I have to be at least a month in advance to do so, or whatever the case that the term may be. In an effort to at least be proactive, as I mentioned, we do have that advance notice that we do in all projects that we have.
Well, and to your point, and I think to Christian's point as well, this letter dated January 21st, 2022 is evidence of way prior notice. 2-3 months before Mr. Mills knew and submitted this very well-drafted, timely letter. So addressing, it appears, under other, there's few items, but traffic, privacy, and property value. I don't think the applicant is in any position to discuss any of those items. So we have a traffic study that was done, I'm sure. And do we know if this is going to be a significantly high traffic thing, or do we even need to do a traffic study for 17 units?
Katrina, did
A
we?
traffic study was not required for this. It's consistent, the zoning is consistent in the general plan, so the citywide traffic study is what mandates here. And so there's adequate amenities for this development.
Thank you,
I
Katrina.
guess to further clarify, so as part of our traffic impact analysis guidelines, the number of units itself or the vehicle trips generated would not trigger the need for a traffic analysis impact. And then the project itself is also, based on the unit count, screened out of our VMT analysis threshold. So in terms of traffic impacts, because of the 17 units, it's considered to have a de minimis impact to traffic. Certainly, the applicant does identify some concerns with existing traffic. However, as part of the environmental review, the impacts are looking at the project's impact on the environment, not the impact of the environment on the project. And so this still falls within the required density that was analyzed as part of the general plan EIR.
All right, and then the second item.
Or, let me ask, Katrina,
Yes.
so what triggers a traffic study? Is there a number of units or something that would trigger you to do a traffic study?
So planning is actually the one who determines, based on CEQA requirements, if it's traffic study. Now, I usually will condition one if there's a change, like a general plan amendment, because now the zoning has changed, and so it wasn't calculated within the citywide general plan traffic study. So that's when engineering will trigger one, is if there's a change in zoning, it's like, okay, now it's a different, it's a different number of traffic that's being anticipated based on the change in usage. But as for just a general traffic study from the CEQA requirements, that comes from planning.
Thank you, Katrina.
And then for privacy, they're talking about a 2-story that's going to look down.
Yeah.
I don't
On
think-
what? Yeah, there's nothing to the north. There's just open land. The same with the east is open land. And then there's the mobile home park, and those are the sides of the apartments. So it's not like
The balconies are going to be overlooking someone's.
they're, no,
that's
they're
for
in the
now.
back, yeah.
These people have the right to develop their land 6 months from now, and now they're looking down on whatever gets developed there.
Yeah, but
So
and as we appreciate that concern, I don't think there's anything that would say, no, you can't have a 2-story building there if the general plan
Correct.
and the zoning allows it. So, and then property value, I think it's going to help the property values up there with
Think
these
so,
nice
yes.
buildings.
I think people have a bad impression of apartments. You know what I mean? They just in general don't like them.
What are you anticipating being the rent for these apartments? That has a lot to do with
You know what?
the type of complex that it is, and
15, 14 to, yeah, to 22.
Now,
Yeah,
how many square feet?
it's all
Are
market
they?
value, yeah.
I guess, are
These are
these gonna
larger
be,
apartment.
are these considered low income?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and these are, I know we're calling them apartments, but
Or like townhomes, like
Yeah,
what we
there's
used
like
to call.
condo units,
Or townhomes, yeah. kind of,
two
but
stories.
In terms of our arena kind of purposes, as a general kind of rule of thumb, at least how the housing element and the market analysis we've done, these RM district properties built out in this kind of fashion usually fall within the moderate income range. If you do have the smaller unit count, so 2 bedrooms or less, there's a propensity for some of those to maybe fall to qualify for that. As part of the application, though, affordability covenants are requested as part of the approval of this, or a density bonus, but normally it falls within kind of the moderate income, which is still fairly high rent and high income level when you consider what is affordable housing
So are these going to be for rent or for purchase?
for rent.
And is there gonna be a property manager on site?
Oh, yes, yeah,
And that'll be one of the residents?
yes. There, somebody'd be there all the time. Well, unless they go somewhere.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to view these two letters and provide us with any other response you'd like to.
You know, I don't. I know the big thing is the traffic, but, and, you know, if the 34 cars all left at the same time, I could see it being an issue, but that doesn't happen. You know, if every person, every apartment has 2 people leaving, it's, you know, and Fifth Street is kind of a major thoroughfare. The speeding, maybe you guys could have a sheriff sit on there a few days in a row with a radar gun and slow them down. I think that's one of their biggest concerns, is that people are driving way too fast on that street.
For staff, is this area gonna get, as far as Fifth Street, gonna get expanded to 2 lanes each way in the future?
Yes. Yeah, that's the ultimate design, similar to what Fifth Street through Chapman Heights that will carry down to County Line Road.
Which will alleviate a lot of traffic as well.
Traffic, yeah.
And the last question I have, sir, for you is, I noticed that on the north side of the property, in between the large property next door and then the east side of the property, which would be backing up to the mobile home, you have proposed vinyl fencing instead of a block wall?
Yes, yes, from the, they'll take, we're doing a parcel map for that property in the front, and there'll be a block wall there, and then vinyl fence down the north side.
And why not go with the vinyl fence around the whole property? I mean, I'm sorry, a block wall around the whole property.
Well, right now, it's like you said, it's undeveloped property, and unless they do develop it someday, and then if it's required, you know, we could visit it then, but right now, it's empty property.
So that property for city staff that's to the north, that's one property that's owned by, it looks like somebody who lives on that property? Right, there's a house on that property?
Yes, correct.
And somebody lives there. So right now, they haven't developed that part of their property, but there's still
The
somebody living
back
there.
part, correct.
Okay. So would you be opposed to a block wall? So I'll let you know I have an issue with approving this project for myself.
Yeah,
These are apartments. I don't care
Correct.
how you look at it. And if we say, 10 years from now, they build something on that property, we'll address a block wall at the time. That's not gonna happen. Unless we condition it now, that's not something that's gonna occur later. So my concern is for those neighbors, for the future, that, you know, so
Yeah.
often planning commissions make decisions without thinking about the future. They think about today, and then we go back and look at, why did we do it this way,
yeah.
10 years ago?
I understand
I don't want that
that.
to happen. Safety concern-wise, when you're dealing with an apartment complex, a lot of people who move into these complexes are gonna have children. With a vinyl fence, it just provides access that, is unnecessary, in my opinion, to that property and whatever they're gonna do, as well as to the property to the east, which is a mobile home complex. and then you're gonna have the block wall along the south side of it, which also protects
It's
that
an
mobile home
existing
complex.
block wall,
Existing
actually,
one.
yes.
So I would like to see a block wall around the entirety of the property. Is that something that you would be open to considering?
I could go and obviously speak with the developer, the builder. Also, not to sound smart here, but what about if when they develop that other property, they put a block wall in?
Well, it's their property.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I'm not worried about a safety issue if they decide to put, what if they put a golf course, like a putting green back there? What if they put their own little go-kart track? What if they put a swimming pool, right? What if they
Yes.
build a back house because they want their, 30-year-old kids to live in it?
Okay.
That, my concern is not those people living on their property. My concern is having a 17-unit apartment complex, not a condominium complex, not something that people are gonna own, that people are gonna take responsibility for, but an apartment complex, which I like the idea. I think this is beautiful. I support this project. I'm just concerned for the future of this project and these kids having the ability to access these other neighbors. I mean, vinyl fences aren't sturdy. They don't last forever.
They're getting pretty good.
So, wow, they're not block
But,
block walls.
And
obviously, depending on the manager, of your project, that stuff would be kept up.
Right.
If a panel of fencing is broken or falling
But
down.
this commission has a history for the last several years. When we've allowed projects like this, we have always required block walls for any of these projects. The condominium projects, housing projects, apartment complexes, we've been requiring block walls around these projects. So for me, that's going to be a condition for me.
Okay.
And we realize that the cost of block walls compared to vinyl fencing is astronomically more.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we do.
So, okay, any other commissioners have a question for the applicant?
Do you know actually how many feet of vinyl fence is on those two sides of the perimeter?
You know what, I do not. I don't have the total on that.
We have what's the overall depth of the
Yeah.
and width? Is that on, I apologize, we've got a site plan with it too.
So the total property length is 630 feet. As Mr. Crydell noted, they will intend to subdivide essentially the not-a-part parcel. And so that probably shaves off maybe 80 feet or so, or maybe 100 feet or so on the dimensions.
Looks like about the same
How
as
far that
the
is?
depth, so like 120 feet.
Okay.
So 120 off of,
All right.
so you're about 460
Oh, okay.
plus another 120 feet across the rear. So you're 600 feet. I don't know exactly what the difference in cost is between block and vinyl these days, but everything keeps going up. But
Yeah.
And there's different grades of vinyl, am I correct?
pardon me?
Vinyl, like everything else, there's different grades.
Yeah, they do. Do you have any idea what the difference would be, Jeff, between?
Cost-wise?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Let me refer, Mark. Double, yeah, at
Double.
least.
Well, at least.
Yeah.
What's the cost of vinyl? Any idea?
No.
No?
You know what? I should have got that.
Block used to, for 6 foot a few years ago, was about $45 a foot. A running foot, 45 to 50. So I'm
That's
guessing
almost doubled, hasn't it?
it's probably, 70 or better. Do you have any
Yeah.
idea?
I don't know off the cost. I actually need to price out vinyl fencing for my house because I want to replace my wood fence with vinyl personally. But I do want to, I guess, kind of quickly note, so as part of the Planning Commission or the objective design standards that we can apply to the project, it does call for a solid fencing is required for these type of projects. It does give the discretion for Planning Commission to allow vinyl fencing as a qualifier for that. Other projects have had vinyl fencing or block walls depending on what the individual applicant was looking to do and the product details, but certainly want to make sure that we're working with the applicant, but not necessarily applying standards that aren't in place by code, because that in and of itself lends itself to a violation of the Housing Accountability Act. And so in that case, the denial of the project based on a non-city standard would actually result in possible fines against the city for that decision.
Do vinyl fencing, do they have different grades, Ben, do you know? I mean, one higher grade, A, B, C, I mean, do
I
we
know
have
that-
any idea? I'm just
I think there's
curious.
different grades to the structural detail. Certainly, there's also the different wind resistance that they have. In modern times, certainly vinyl fencing has certainly changed a lot over the course from being the cheap little plastic fences to something a bit more robust. And so certainly they could, as the Plan Commission, specify perhaps to address the concern, a higher grade fence to minimize the chance of it being disrupted. I do want to note too, as part of the project design, so you do have vinyl fencing in between the individual units. And then most of the frontage that's along that northern property line is actually part of the passive recreational open space features. So you do have elements to that which will have some landscaping and kind of the buffering between units, but wouldn't necessarily be where kids are playing within the project. It'd be just shrubs and trees and other features of that sort. And so I don't know if that addresses perhaps Commissioner Wolf's concerns, but something to look at in terms of the project design.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Next time, I promise I'll have fencing information.
No, it's a great, it's a great looking project.
Other than letters, any other comments?
No public comments
Okay.
received.
With that, we'll close the public hearing and move to the commissioners. Richard, you haven't spoke. What do you got?
No, I think it is a good project. I am concerned about the fence though, because there are different grades of fencing. Home Depot sells cheap stuff and fencing suppliers sell good stuff. And there's a big difference in cost in that. But definitely a block wall around an apartment complex, I think, is necessary.
Tony?
So just from my understanding, Ben, you had said that what is within the city standard, Planning Commission has discretion on the type of fencing, but you also said there was some
So the-
potential state.
Yeah, so the Plan Commission can work with the applicant on the fencing design as part of the overall aesthetic. However, that's more of a, working with the applicant to pick the right thing, but the denial of the project for a standard that isn't in place, so the requirement to only have a block wall as the perimeter fencing for a multifamily project is not what the code lists. And so in that instance, that would be something that would be problematic for violating the Housing Accountability Act, since we'd be applying a standard that isn't in the city code to a project as part of the approval of that.
Unless, though, we cite that the lack of a block wall around a project like this causes a safety concern or safety issue for the surrounding community. And if we cite a safety issue, we can deny the project based off of that alone.
The denial, there is, with the Housing Accountability Act that came into play, or the amendments as part of SB 330, the findings in order to make a denial of a project that meets all the objective design standards is much, much tighter than just a discussion about safety concerns. It has to be based in a much more thorough analysis of part of that project. And so there's some statutory limitations, but just saying, I think it may be more dangerous itself would run afoul of meeting SB 330.
So one side of the coin is to deny a project. The other side is to approve it with an additional condition. And that's something well within our purview. So we can approve, and we can all vote to approve with an added condition of, I don't know necessarily about a block wall, but some fencing that would take into consideration the safety of all residents. And have you guys determine what that looks like?
I don't know enough as part of the construction of vinyl fencing to know what the different grade classifications are, perhaps those in the construction fields. A little bit more familiar and can give guidance on the applicant of what they may
So
should
should
do
we,
and certainly confirm if the applicant is agreeable to that condition.
should we
or-
table this and not approve or deny it for them to
Now,
come back?
let's just see. Lloyd, why don't you weigh in here? What do you have?
I'm okay.
Bart?
If I hear what you're saying, is it's problematic for us, the planning commission, to impose a condition that's not supported by the code. And the block wall is not supported by our code.
That is
What I'm hearing?
Yeah, that is correct. So the requirement is a solid fence. Certainly, as part of the condition, the planning commission can make a suggestion on the gauge of vinyl fencing and see if the applicant's agreeable to that specificity, since it's not known at this time.
Can the applicant come to you and say, hey, this is the type of vinyl fencing we want, and you guys confirm that it's a
High quality.
high quality, a high standard? Like he said, he's absolutely right. I can go to Home Depot and do a vinyl fence myself for $3,000, or I can have high quality vinyl fencing put in and it costs $13,000. So I'm not saying that's I don't want to add cost. I understand the block wall. We've approved projects before without the block wall because we don't want to add hundreds of thousands of dollars to this project. But I just want to make sure, and I think that's what Chris is saying, is can they come to you and you guys say, yes, this, because nobody in this room can say, yeah, it has to be a level 10 or a level 8. None of us know what those levels are. But we also don't want it to be something cheap that's gonna be brittle and fall apart as the winds are coming through there, as kids are playing, as dogs are doing what they do.
Yeah, so as part of the overall project building permit kind of stage, as they do submit the plans for the landscaping and other features, which will include essentially the project fencing for this, there is going to be a wind calculation to make sure it meets at least those thresholds. Another element that can be important or perhaps part of the Plan Commission's consideration is the maintenance obligations. As part of the property does have to maintain compliance with the maintenance of the site, and so certainly if there is a damage that occurs to any vinyl fencing within the project, that can be a code enforcement violation that then the applicant would then need to address as well.
Is that already a part of this?
Yes, the maintenance obligations, all improvements in landscaping does need to be maintained as an ongoing condition.
Based on what Aaron's trying to say, we could just defer this back to you, saying that we will allow the project to go with vinyl fencing as long as staff determines it's of a higher quality?
Can we do that?
That can certainly be a condition or kind of the motion, and certainly if the applicant and property owner is agreeable to that, then that can certainly be made, and we'll work through the permit process to validate that is.
Would you
Adequate.
support that?
Okay. Right then.
I trust you guys in the city.
Well, can we get a motion then?
Well, in light of all of this, knowing I can't deny a project based off a block wall, I'll make the motion that we approve case number 21-179, conditional use permit and architecture review, along with recommendations A through D, and we add a condition that the developer has to work with the city to ensure that the vinyl fencing is
Higher quality.
a higher standard, how do we want to say it?
Quality acceptable to staff.
A quality acceptable to staff.
Have a higher lifetime.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, which the applicant said that they would, they agreed to this condition.
And I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a special use permit for an architectural review of 11-foot tall, 792 square foot metal garage. Amanda, are you taking this one, or?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chairman Algauer. So this item is submitted by the applicant Barbara Hamlin. It is for a special use permit for the ARC review of an 11-foot tall, 792 square foot metal garage located on a multifamily residential property at 35145 Avenue E. The parcel is 0.2 acres and is located directly behind 35145 Avenue E. The zoning is RM 72C, multiple residential with a minimum lot size of 7,200 square feet. The applicant actually owns 4 contiguous parcels, and their primary single-family residence, a 2,347 square foot home, is located on the 0.29 acre front parcel, which is 35145 Avenue E. This property is directly behind it. It's surrounded by other multifamily development, and a storage shed was previously demolished on the property in question. So this garage will supplement the storage shed that was previously demolished and will also help the property achieve compliance with the Yucaipa Development Code Section 88.025A, which requires that 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom units have 2 enclosed parking spaces on a property. It should be noted that the multifamily unit that exists on the property, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit, was built prior to the city's incorporation, and so is therefore considered legal non-conforming, as there was never previously a garage on this site. The site plan is before you on the screen, and again, is currently improved with a 560 square foot, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit, and another 324 square foot storage shed, which still remains on the property. The proposed garage is 792 square feet and will be located pretty much in the exact same location where the previous shed was demolished. Access will be provided from Avenue E easement from that front parcel where the applicant's primary residential unit is located. And the garage fits within all RM 72C setbacks. Additionally, it is located behind the primary single-family residential unit, so that will reduce street visibility off of Avenue E. Elevations are before you on the screen, and a pitched roof is provided with an 11-foot tall peak height on that structure. I do want to note that the applicant kind of revised these to make them more consistent with their primary unit on the property. There'll be 1 roll-up door on the front elevation, 1 roll-up door on the south elevation, and then access doors will be provided as well. There will be accent windows on the north elevation, and siding will feature vertical ribbed steel panels. The structure will be painted a light blue color with white trim accents to match their single-family residence off of Avenue E. So here's a site photo, and you can see the driveway the access easement that leads back to the other property. And here's a photo of their primary residence on the front. You can see the light blue coloration. Project notices were sent to surrounding property owners and no responses were received. So staff recommends that you review the design of the garage, adopt the special use permit findings, the categorical exemption, and direct us to file a notice of exemption.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone have any questions for staff? What's the color? I mean, is it the building, Madeline, is this metal building? Is it plain stainless color? I mean, is there any coloring to it, or?
Yeah, so it's a standard metal garage that we see through some of these special use permits. The elevations are on the screen right now, so it does have more of a pitched roof and a little bit of an overhang. It will be painted a light blue color with trim accents that are white, similar to the single-family residence at the front of the property.
Okay. Thank you. Did the applicant wish to make is the applicant here? Oh,
Yes.
would you like to come down and make comment? You don't have to. It's your choice. It's your option. Yep.
I have a question for the applicant, just so you know.
Is what?
I have a question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for hearing me. I just briefly, just to say that my family, my parents came here in 1947, and my dad passed away in 2006, and my stepmother in 2010, and I'm the only child. And so when I received the property, believe me, it was not in very good shape. And my goal was, I just want to make this a nice, really, really nice place. And so my home that I live in is right now 101 years old. And I've tried to make it a show place, and I get lots and lots of compliments. One of the storage buildings is the 350, whatever it is the original garage. And I retained the garage doors that were very unique, and but just basically reinforced everything and painted the same color as my house. Then I think, as I understand it, that the single dwelling on the next parcel was a caretaker's home that took care of 10 acres of peaches with the original property. And now it's down to just a little bit less than 2 acres that I have there, because I do have the adjoining also lot, and that has nothing on it. It's between me and the Cottage Creamery Dairy. So I've made every effort to try to upgrade all the property as I've gone along. It's just important to me as I'm approaching 78 years old that I leave a mark on Yucaipa as having benefited the community, I hope. And so when it came to this last piece that I was wanting to try to do something decent with, it was originally a packing house for peaches. And I was just so proud that this 100-year-old building was still, standing, and I wanted to keep it. But after, lots of consultation, the foundation was just in really bad shape. The slab floor was just cracked, and the building was beginning to listing almost like a ship. And so I just decided, that what it was going to cost and the figures that I got to repair the building were just beyond me at this point in my life.
Okay.
And so now we move on to the metal building. I just wanted to tell you what my goal was. And the metal building is just supposed to be much less, like less than half the cost of what a regular construction.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
We have any? No, seeing none. Okay. We'll close the public hearing.
Hold on, I have a question.
Wait a second.
Ma'am, can you go back to the picture of her house? It's just real quick. So that's beautiful. And do you do all the gardening work yourself?
No, I have someone that trims my trees. That's one individual.
Well, they do a great job, and I just want to tell you, you have a beautiful property.
Oh, thank you.
That's it.
That's my goal. And I get that comments all the time. So I'm just wanting to add to it, my last project.
Very nice.
Thank you,
Well,
ma'am.
hopefully not last, but it's beautiful.
Okay, commissioners, do we have anything?
Motion.
Wait a minute, Richard, you have something?
Yeah, I'd like to move to approve case number 22-018 and all the recommendations, A through D.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7-0. Motion passes. You have a garage.
Good luck, man.
Next item we have is a conditional use permit and architectural review for 1,490 square foot Arby's drive-through.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman Algauer. So the applicant, Kashif Siddiqui, has submitted case number 22-029 for a conditional use permit for a new Arby's located on Yucaipa Boulevard. Applicant is currently in escrow on the property and hoping to get started and moved in as soon as possible. They submitted an entitlement application on February 22nd, 2022. And the site is located on a 0.9 acre property, which has a unique L-shaped lot and is on the southwest corner of 10th Street and Yucaipa Boulevard. The zoning is general commercial and is generally surrounded by other similar development to the east and west, which is a Del Taco drive-through, and then the Fat Greek, which also has a drive-through. To the north is a golf course associated with the Chapman Heights planned development, and then to the south is a floodway owned by the San Bernardino County Flood Control District. The site plan is before you on the screen, and you can see that the frontage off Yucaipa Boulevard is a little bit narrow. It provides 82 feet of frontage, and so the applicant has pursued a 1,496 square foot prototype for a narrow drive-through only. This is also somewhat of a reflection of the shifting restaurant market with a more contactless and quick service approach since the COVID-19 pandemic. No indoor seating is proposed inside. However, there will be a customer ordering area inside of the building. Access will be provided from both Yucaipa Boulevard and 10th Street, and there are actually existing street improvements, including curb, gutter, commercial drive approaches, and sidewalk that were undertaken by a previous city-initiated capital improvement project. There are 24 parking spots on the site, which is 14 in excess of the minimum 10 required for a development of this type. The elevations are before you on the screen and provide somewhat of a Yucaipa craftsman feel. The building will be 18.5 feet at peak height, and cement plaster will be the primary base material. There will also be accent features provided along the different facades to enhance the overall building articulation and detailing. Some of these accents will include a 5-foot panel of cement plaster in the color rockwood dark brown, which has 4-inch revels for some added building dimension. Stone veneer will also be provided in the color Sierra brown along majority of the base of the building. And this veneer will be incorporated as the material for 2 symmetrical parapets, which are visible on the front elevation. Additionally, red canopies matching the Arby's corporate brand will be proposed on the north elevation, which faces Yucaipa Boulevard, the west, which is the side elevation that provides the main entrance to the indoor customer ordering area, as well as a portion of the eastern side elevation, which will be where the drive-through pickup order window is. Some craftsman style scones will be used for building lighting as well. The landscape plan is before you on the screen and shows the approximate location of trees and other landscaping provided on the site. There's a total of 25.8% of the site that will be landscaped, which is in compliance with the minimum requirement for 10% in this zoning district. Crepe myrtle trees are proposed along the southern property line and within the landscape island, which is adjacent to the drive-through. And again, these final plans will ultimately be approved by the landscaped architect. Additionally, I do want to point out that a future monument sign is noted on these plans as well as the site plan, and those will be required to pursue a land use compliance review application for signs at a later date. In terms of environmental review, this project qualifies for a categorical exemption as infill development. And project notices were sent to surrounding property owners within a 300-foot radius, and 1 comment was received from the San Bernardino County Flood Control District, noting that any sort of encroachment on their right-of-way, which is along the southern property line where there is a floodway, would require a permit from the San Bernardino County Flood Control District prior to starting and initiating construction. So staff has provided condition of approval number 41 to satisfy this request, which is included in your packet. In terms of a fiscal impact, this project will generate $71,120 in development impact fees. And I have some site photos. This is off of Yucaipa Boulevard, so you can see the drive approaches already complete into city standard. And then this is off of 10th Street. So it's staff's recommendation that you approve the conditional use permit, adopt the findings as well as a categorical exemption, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption. And the applicant is present with their architect via the telephone, so if you have any questions, they should be able to respond through that channel. Thank you.
I have a quick question, just for point of clarity. Is Yucaipa Boulevard gonna only be an entrance or an exit, or is it gonna be both?
It'll be for both.
Both. And so will be the 10th Street, correct?
That is right.
And I have a question as well. How many vehicles are they gonna be able to put in the drive-through? Like, does it go all the way back to the back of the property, like? Or,
Yeah, so I guess as part of the site, because it is just a drive-through service rather than eating.
Yeah.
There is some parking on it. Essentially, the whole loop around the site to the front and back would be the drive-through queuing capacity. So it'd be fairly long with,
you know how like when Chick-fil-A presented, they said we can accommodate up to like 44 cars, right? In-N-Out said we can accommodate up to 22 cars at one time. Do we know, I didn't see it in here. It's just a question.
the stack.
The stack.
Yeah.
How many cars?
Yeah, this is Kashif Siddiqui. I can answer that. Typically, we design 12 cars for the drive-through stacking. 12 cars. From window to the ordering menu board.
The site plan looks like it shows 13 cars. They're really faint, but they are kind of superimposed on the primary site plan.
And this is gonna be strictly drive-through, no dine-in, correct?
There are no seating, there's no seating proposed inside at this time, but they're in excess of the required parking requirements. So if at a later date, the developer did want to provide some indoor seating tables or outdoor seating tables, they would still be in compliance with the parking requirements.
All right, and I just want to just add on to Commissioner Wolf's concern. If there's no dine-in, and this is gonna be as successful as we hope for an Arby's restaurant to be, what's gonna happen when there's 20 to 25 cars in the drive-through?
Yeah, so I guess one way to look at it is, as Kashif noted, there is the capacity for at least 12 vehicles up to the ordering window, but because it's drive-through, the drive aisle to accommodate the stacking capacity includes the entire drive aisle that loops around back to Yucaipa Boulevard. As a way perhaps to view perhaps some of the stacking on the site is the Del Taco adjacent to it. You know, you can loop around from the back or the front of Del Taco all the way around, and the distance that they have available or the number of cars that they could fit is quite a bit less based on the geometry of the site. And so perhaps I maybe can give some context of how much room they have to fit the cars in with the Del Taco directly next door in terms of activity level. But certainly it is a long, narrow lot, and so with the one-way entrance through the driveway or essentially going down the west side of the site, that can all accommodate vehicle queuing before it gets to Yucaipa Boulevard.
I think what the commissioners are concerned with is like In-N-Out. They had Plan A, B, and C, and they all failed. And they had to go to Plan D, but they've got it under control the best they can. So I'm sure they've got an option here.
Well, and I think we're underestimating our city when a lot of these projects, I mean, every Starbucks, we're in the parking lot. We're not in the drive-through, right?
Right.
I mean, look at the Starbucks right here. I go to this one all the time, and, I mean,
The drive-throughs.
the drive-through is nuts. I mean, you know, we're constantly, we like to spend money in the city. We like our drive-throughs. We like, you know, we like In-N-Out. We like Chick-fil-A. We like Starbucks. I mean, even the Baker's gets backed up down on the boulevard. And, I mean, I guess that's not necessarily a discussion for this approval, but as far as the city goes, maybe we need, I don't know if we can reevaluate, you know, what our requirements are. You know, I know there's the minimum that the state requires, but we keep doing that, and
We mean regarding parking?
no, the stacking issue. Like, we're having a stacking issue all over
You
the
know,
city.
And to that, and I want to echo all those concerns, I think the only solution is gonna be a second In-N-Out and a second Chick-fil-A in our town to alleviate, because you can't drive people away from good products, and Arby's is great. I don't know of another Arby's in our town, is this gonna be the only one?
It's the only one here. There was a Arby's that recently opened up in the city of Calamasa, so there is one in the region as an example. I would say as part of the drive-through design, certainly the drive-through demand has certainly increased over time, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. Another element as part of the drive-through design that we do strive to do is make sure that the vehicle stacking, while it may go encroach within the parking lot areas, the Starbucks being an example of that where it's in the parking lot area, but making sure it isn't going into a spot where it's obstructing the traditional flow of traffic on the major thoroughfare. So addressing it where it doesn't go into Yucaipa Boulevard as an example. Even the Dutch Brothers Coffee, which gets very busy, the traffic design has been laid out so it's not backing up onto Yucaipa Boulevard. It's only isolated within those that are trying to get to that facility. In this case, certainly because of the long, narrow shape and the lack of interior seating, it's designed for the whole drive aisle to be drive-through stacking. To the point, though, about drive-throughs, and that can certainly be a study session that we can bring up, or at least certainly talking to city council whether or not that's something that we should explore further and develop more city-specific standards on how we approach this for other drive-through restaurants. As an example for Yucaipa Point, though, for a lot of those other uses like the Chipotle that's coming in, it was all designed so that all the vehicle stacking, even if it gets busy, is only going to bother the people that are in the shopping center going to that use. So even if it's longer, it's only going to impact those that are there for that purpose, not necessarily those that are trying to get home on Yucaipa Boulevard. And same with this site as well.
I can just add, this would probably be the longest stack for a single line of anything in Yucaipa. There's room here for probably 48 cars to stack on site without obstructing the 2 handicap parking spaces. Typically, my information's a few years old now, but In-N-Out is probably, the one in our town is probably a $3.5 million store, right around there. Where an average Arby's is probably less than 1.5 million, probably closer to 1.2 million, especially a drive-through only. So just you know, the volume that it's going to do is going to be substantially less than In-N-Out.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's a great use for a really difficult piece of property.
But so dining in,
Drive-through in and somebody to use, and I'm happy to see it. I think it's a great.
so they still have the option to go dine in down the road.
There is parking capacity on site
Right.
should
Okay.
they utilize it. The floor plan itself really isn't designed for that purpose, but as an example, because of, certainly the high school traffic, those walking along Yucaipa Boulevard after
Right.
high school, there may be a demand where some of those kids walking along that frontage get some food and want to hang out for a little bit, eat it, and then go on to their next stop. But that's certainly a decision that the applicant can explore at a later date.
And I hope they at least add some outdoor seating out there, because just for high school, I think that would be beneficial, but.
Okay, any other?
I'm curious about if people come in off of the boulevard and come down on the west side and they want to get Arby's, they make that really short left-hand turn and get into the alleyway. And if it starts getting backed up by that severe left turn, and if people come in off of 10th Street wanting to get in, how is that all going to be resolved? Are we going to have conflict there, or what? How's that going to work?
Katrina?
So it actually, if you see on the plans, it actually looks like there's 2 different ordering windows. So my
Right.
assumption would be that those coming in off of 10th Street would gravitate towards that secondary window on the right, while the ones coming off of Yucaipa Boulevard in that longer stacking would go to that one on the left. So there is 2 different
Oh, there are
windows
2
kind of.
windows there. I wasn't clear what that configuration was with the little island there, but that's 2 windows for ordering.
Yes, it appears to be 2, or
But beyond
speakers so
that,
that you can order.
there's a bypass lane that's 16
Well,
foot.
that's what I was
10
thinking. I
foot
thought it
wide.
was part of the bypass lane.
Yeah, no, this is a separate bypass lane. That's just stacking where 2 cars can pull up.
Right.
So you have a short stack of double cars before the menu board, but you have a 10-foot aisleway that bypasses the drive-through
Right.
completely. So you can come down and get into the queue or into the stack on the other
But
side.
I can, that's the only question I have. I mean, I can see potential difficulties there, but everything has difficulties, you know, so that's the way it is. I mean, look at the in and out on Sierra in Fontana. They have, anytime you go down there, they have 6, 8, 10 cars on Sierra in front of Kaiser Hospital. Now, how much busier of a thoroughfare can you get than that? And they're just parked there waiting to get their burger. So I don't think this will be that bad, but, that's
They've been
good.
doing
I
that
think
for
it's
the
a
last
great,
30
great
years.
project.
At least 30 years.
Yeah. No, I,
It's a great project.
I think it's great.
All right, looks like we're ready for a motion.
Quickly, we have not received any public comments on this.
Big pardon?
We have not received any public comments on this item.
Oh. Oh, yeah, okay, we closed the public hearing. Got lost sidetrack here. And now we move to the commissioners. Who wants to make a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Wolf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks did? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I got,
They both sound great.
you're on my bad ear. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Ben, next meeting?
Probably not the next scheduled meeting, so the first week of May 4th, we probably will not have a meeting. However, it is likely we will have a pretty hefty agenda packet for the 18th. And so we'll get everything out and look forward to seeing you guys on that meeting.
So
Got a motion to adjourn. Any objections? I don't see any. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, right, yeah. I was gonna